it's a very interesting thing that's happening now, and it's the last three election cycles I've seen it, and it's I don't I don't really know different words to use, so I'll just use the ones that I have. No vote, no power, no leverage. Please stop letting these pseudo revolutionaries lie to you. It's time that we have an honest conversation about something that keeps coming back every election cycle like clockwork. And every time it does, it carries more weight. I'm talking about these so called revolutionaries, voices that have a lot of reach and large platforms telling Black people specifically not to vote, telling us to sit this one out or hold our vote hostage or wait until we get something. Now, Rams and I are all for strategic thinking. We're all for demanding concessions. We're all for making our issues as a community, collectively, a priority. What I'm not for, however, is misleading people into what I can only call political suicide. Because urging Black people not to vote, especially right before an election, is not a strategy, people. It is sabotage. And too many folks are starting to confuse this form of sabotage with political strength. Let's call it what it is. Dr. Umar and those like him during the last election cycle got loud, telling Black folks to sit this one out, to not vote until we get something. And I have to admit, sounds bold, sounds militant, sounds dramatic. But let's take a second to unpack that. Because behind all that bravado was no plan, no timeline, no negotiating strategy, no coalition, no roadmap, no deliverables, no next actionable steps. Just vibes, I guess. And some really aggressive, seemingly confident posturing. A call to inaction is not a strategy. A strategy requires power, some leverage. Those two things require numbers. Numbers require participation. Participation requires ding, 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 you got it, voting. You cannot get something from a system that you have chosen not to engage with. That's not how it worked then. That's not how it will ever work. Now, here's the part that is kind of easy to gloss over. When you tell people not to vote, you know who's going to vote regardless, especially if your target audience is Black people. Those who will vote every time, regardless of our revolutionaries telling us to sit it out. White nationalist Christian and evangelicals. Evangelicals will show up every cycle. Wealthy suburban moderates. Those with corporate interest. The MAGA diehards. People actively pushing against our interest. People counting on and needing a low Black voter turnout. And people who absolutely want us to disengage. They will show up every time. So, Ramses, maybe you can tell me, how do we gain leverage by sitting out when everybody else is going to show up?
It's not possible.
Some people might think that's a form of protest. It's not. It's the equivalent of political starvation.
Yeah.
Handing your opponent the power that you claim you're withholding. You don't boycott the ballot box because the other side will start lining up at 5 o'clock in the morning and stay there until the polls close to make sure they cast their ballot. So, time to get logical. If you stop voting, you don't pressure anyone to give you anything. You don't punish anyone. It is not a position of leverage to negotiate from. You're not actually withholding anything from those who oppress you. You don't gain leverage. You don't get courted by candidates. You don't get policy concessions because you're not participating. You definitely don't get representation. And most importantly, no result. You become invisible. And quite ironically, invisible people don't get deals made on their behalf. You cannot demand something from a system while refusing to participate in it. That's like telling your job, I'm not coming to work, but next quarter I'm going to need that raise. Yeah, nonsense. The ugly truth. Every election cycle, people show up pretending to be Che Guevara with a ring light. They think withholding the vote makes them look and sound radical, but refusing to vote does not make you a revolutionary. Ramses, the revolution requires organizing, strategy, risk, infrastructure, discipline, sacrifice, coalition, pressure, and direct action, not a well edited post on Instagram. Encouraging abstination without building any of those things is not a revolution, it's cosplay.
Yeah.
Let me say this clearly. You cannot get something you don't fight for. Political power is work. Organize, build, maintain, and fight. Don't vote will never be a strategy. Voting is not enough, but it is essential.